Alright, so in today's how-to, we're going to be making this tear-out drop you just heard. The captions on these videos are auto-generated, so if you see something foolish and dumb, do not hesitate to call me out in the comments. Tear-out is simple. Tear-out is, firstly, distortion, cool rhythmical patterns, pan snare, distortion, pan snare, distortion, cool rhythms, pan snare. So let's get right into the juicy stuff. Firstly, I'm gonna walk you through how to make the sounds and how to make everything in this drop. The presets and the processing racks are gonna be available to download on my Patreon. So firstly, we have a Muslo kick. Muslo is a super dope producer. Check him out. I don't know if this exact drum pack he made is out yet, but it's gonna be out soon. So it has some dope kicks and snares. So the kick is from that pack. Sounds like this on its own. Then we have the snare from my latest drum sample pack. Shameless advertisement here. Dapping up myself. So yeah, just basic snare from me. Then we have the pan layer of the whole thing. Together they sound like this. The pan layer itself sounds like this. We can quickly inspect it in Serum. So if you take a closer look, it's nothing too fancy. It's just in one envelope, basic shape, sine wave. The trick is I usually tune it to the key of the track, which is not necessary because it's tear out and it's mostly just noise. But if you want to be an extra bit precise, then you can just put the MIDI on D or 7 semitones up, 5 semitones down from D, and that's going to be a perfect little addition to the snare. I delayed the whole sound by about 30 milliseconds on the channel itself, and then I gave it a 65 millisecond attack. We need that to kind of leave a little bit of space for the snare transient so it hits harder. And this also acts like a ring out tail, which is, you know, looks like this on the ADSR curve. Now after that, we have a couple of cymbals. I usually like to do tambourine on the kick, so this is nothing special. I do this on all of my tracks. Gives the kick good high end. Then I use long ride 4 and long ride 2. These are all from my drum sample pack. So drum sample pack here, shameless plug, drum sample pack here. Damn, my face looks ugly as hell. I just woke up. So in the intro, I'm not gonna talk about it too much because there's nothing in there. I just threw in some loops so we can get a build-up-ish kind of thing. But yeah, the drop group and the drop whole thing is special because you are special. The main thing is super simple. I'm gonna turn off every effect and then I'm gonna walk you through what I did and why I did it. So firstly, I designed a Serum preset with a couple of effects already applied. So what I did here was use OTT 77% amount, 300%-ish time. So it's not the most aggressive OTT in the world. I have the super bad quality reverb, which will give you a little bit of room to the sound. And then 3 multiband compressors, all on the stock multiband compression Ableton preset. And then EQing into a saturator so we can distort the sub and the mids together on the saturator on soft sine. Nothing too special and crazy, but this helps us get an idea of the sound that we want. Let's rebuild this. First, when you open it up, just get a basic square wave from analog and then basic shapes. From there, you can select it to be a square, then put LFO1 on the level, just all the way. The LFO1 is on trigger, quarter note, and then I set it up to be a peak, as you can see. Just a small little peak with a long release. I then enabled the noise as well, and I'm not putting the noise through the filter, but I'm not putting it to direct out either, so this goes into the effects with the basic shape square. So after the square, we're gonna enable filter, which is giving it the movement. Let's hear it without the filter. Cool. Let's hear it with the filter. The filter is basically just elevating that area with the peak, and it's kind of giving it a vowel characteristic because of the shape of the filter. So I just automated everything here to make it sound like an ah. Then I used hyperdimension, no dimension, because that fucks up your stereo monocompatibility. I just used hyper on a slight mix with the LFO1, then distortion, then an EQ. And you might say, wow, that sounds terrible. Yes, but if we turn on our sub bass, which goes directly out of the synth, Now that distorts on that saturator with the EQ pretty much how I wanted it to the whole time. So now that we have our synth, let's close Serum and let me introduce you to a rack called the split rack, which you can create easily by just putting in one EQ, setting it up so it cuts at 140, Control G to group it together, open up the channels inside the effect rack. Now right click, create chain, or a faster way to do it is just duplicate the already existing channel and just reversing the cut of the EQ. Now you have a perfect split where you can only affect the high end instead of like messing up the sub bass with some muddy effects. This is extremely useful in this case because I used a corpus which will give our high end some metallic ring outs. So if we solo this channel, you can hear some glassy sound. Then I use frequency shifter to kind of shift it to a random frequency that sounded good to my ears. Then using Serum effects, all passes, cutoff on the lower setting and resonance on the middle to kind of blur the sound. And then Camel Crusher to make it loud again. If you want to be Nimda, you can put Camel Crusher on the whole thing at the end and use distortion. That's gonna give you Nimda basically. He uses this on everything as far as I know, but yeah, in here I just use it on no distortion, no filter, just the standard compressor because it's really aggressive and it sounds really good. So I can, you know, bring back the gain that we lost during the processing. So if we listen to the whole sound with the sub, after this, I thought, it could use a little more transients, but I didn't want to mess with the sub. So there's this cool plugin called Stab. You can download this, not for free, unfortunately, but it's pretty handy. So it's definitely worth every penny. It's basically a multi-band transient shaper. Shortens the ring outs on the higher frequencies, and it just makes it more stabby. After that, I used a soft sine saturator just to glue everything together with a slight EQ. Might be a little too aggressive at first, but TEAROUT is aggression. We definitely need that. Then what I did was I duplicated the whole thing because I was like, okay, we still need a stereo layer that is a little bit different, but plays the same rhythm. So once I had the 8-bar loop, I duplicated the whole thing, changed around some settings in the frequency shifter on the split rack. Also put in 3 chorals, which is just a chorus preset from, or not preset, a chorus plugin from Native Instruments. Pretty cool plugin. I like it a lot. And then used my mono-compatible stereoizer to make it perfectly stereo without losing mono compatibility. So now it sounds like this with the main sound. So pretty basic stuff, to be honest. Once you know how sausage is made, you're not going to listen to TEAROUT anymore, the same way at least. So then I duplicated the whole thing again and changed around some settings to get this bass. Not too complicated in my opinion. Then duplicated it again, changed around some settings, made it hella distorted, and I put it down -5 semitones. So technically it's in key, but it's so low that the sub vibrates, like audibly vibrates. You can hear the cycles of the wavetable. That burr sound is mint. I also duplicated the main sound and just elongated the LFOs, and then we ended up with this sound. Same thing, basic shapes. Not that crazy. We also have these stabs to kind of help the flow. I actually fucked up and didn't copy paste them over properly, but yeah, it should sound like this.
Death is a mercy.
Yeah, on the whole group, I have a saturator on medium curve 60%. This gives it that cool little glued distortion feel. Everything else is standard stuff. No effects on the master, just one clipper. I use the knock clipper on this one, but you could use any kind of hard clipping plugin.
Mercy.
Thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, show it to your dog, show it to your grandmother, put an AirPods Max on a medieval farming child and give him brain damage from this music. If you want to grab these samples, it's available up on my Patreon, so don't forget to grab it if you want to use it on a song of yours maybe. But yeah, thank you for watching How to Tear Out with yours truly.
Nosphere. 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 Nosphere.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to check out my website for a lot of high quality Serum and Vital presets and drum samples. You can also support me on Patreon where I upload bass music specific tutorial content every single month.
Peace.